Hey everybody, it's Clint Powell, and today's episode is brought to you by two great sponsors. One is my friends at JB Millworks. Jeremy Price and his staff do wonderful work. I'm going to tell you how to get a hold of them first. jbmillworks.com, or you can call them at 706-965-6940. And then I'm going to tell you why. You ready? They have great products. They have doors, they have stair parts, trim work, anything you're wanting for remodel or new construction. But they also have beautiful plantation shutters. Make your house look gorgeous. And high quality, energy saving, gorgeous, beautiful sun-clad windows. I know a little bit about sun-clad windows. I know the owner of the company, Frank Anderson, and I'm telling you right now, if you have a home and you're wanting to get the best of both worlds, high energy savings and yet a beautiful wood look on the interior, it is gorgeous inside and outside wood-clad windows from Sun Windows. jbmillworks.com or 706-965-6940. Also, a sponsor of today's episode is Lori Monteith with Keller Williams, or as she is known on Facebook and Google, Team Monteith. Lori started in the real estate industry back when everybody was getting out of it with the great economic downturn. She made the most of it. She pulled through. She does business the right way. And in a world where there's all these multiple offers, houses are not staying on the market long, you're wanting to move or you're wanting to sell, you need someone who has a track record of getting things done. Find out more about her. Team Monteith is on Facebook. You can also Google Lori Monteith, but you can call them at 315-0042, 423-315-0042, or you can find out more at findchattanoogarealestate.com. Enjoy today's episode. Hey folks, Clint Powell here. This is During the Break. Let's do this. All right, welcome to During the Break podcast. I'm super glad you found it. Do what I always ask you to do. Rate and review us, especially you iTunes snobs, you folks that have all those Apple cool products, and us slobs over here that have the droids. We have to do the old-fashioned sharing. But we need your shares and reviews. It helps us grow the podcast. So today, I've got a guest, and a lot of the guests, just to be transparent, a lot of my guests I've known for a long time. I mean, I've got friends, I call friends, that people are like, oh, you know that person. I'm like, yeah, trust me, it doesn't make me any money to know people. So it doesn't, I don't get I don't get paid because I know people that are well known in the Chattanooga area. But it makes good when you want to have good conversations about different topics. So I've been lucky. I've had a lot of my friends on, and they've added a lot to everybody's lives, entertainment. So the guy I have on today, though, I've only known for a little bit, and I only see him usually when we're eating donuts. Wednesdays, donuts at Brewer Broadcasting here in Chattanooga, Tennessee. And I was asking him before we came on, because I don't want to compare you to any famous people.
Yeah.
But you've kind of gone through, there was John Mellencamp, John Mellencamp, right?
Yep.
There's, Prince goes by one name.
Yep.
He went by one name. So I didn't know to call you E. Foster or Eric. I didn't know what phase you were in.
Yeah. You know what? It
Are we
really
in the E. Foster?
It doesn't matter. I just started doing E. Foster because it's a funny story behind my name.
Well, okay. What's the funny story behind your name?
Eric is actually the name of my brother.
Oh.
Who at the time was living in San Francisco. And I was trying to come up with a cool name because everybody had a cool name. And he said, just use my first name and then use your middle name as your last name. And then Eric Foster was opened up. And then when he came home, everybody's like, why did your mom name both of you Eric? She didn't.
So you don't tell anybody what your first name is?
No, it's Errol. Errol. William. As in
okay,
Errol
so
Flynn.
the E still works.
The E still works.
That's why.
So then that's why let's do E. Foster Williams.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're just stealing identity. I get it. That's how we start this off. It's your brother, though. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's all good.
All right. So you're on Power 94, and what all you do you do at Brewer?
Oh man. Mornings on Big 95.3 with Gary and Beth. Then middays on Power, and then I'll voice track some stuff on Groove. So it's all in the same building.
How long have you been in radio, man?
20 plus years.
Then you've seen it, because I got in radio on the sales side and then migrated to doing this kind of stuff. And I've done some shows, but I've not been immersed in it. Mm-hmm. When I was in college, we had to take, for communications, I had to do splicing of old tapes.
Oh,
and
the
carts.
School.
Oh yeah. I had to do, for my project in college, you'll appreciate this. You had to do a radio commercial, a TV commercial, a radio commercial, and a billboard campaign.
Right.
Well, my radio commercial was the good old standby, the tractor pull. This weekend only, Monster trucks. And all
Sunday.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
I think I still made a B in it, or I don't know. I thought it was
You
an A
passed.
word.
That's all that matters.
It surprised everybody that knew me that I passed. But the reason I was bringing that up is you've been in radio long enough to see that radio. Now, you're lucky because you work at a company that's locally owned.
Definitely.
But if you've been in radio on the corporate side of it, you've seen it to where you used to just do one or two things and they had 30, 40 staff members.
Right.
We've watched it in Chattanooga that they've cut staff by 70%, and you're doing one person now has 4 jobs.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And you can feel that too, though.
Definitely. Oh, yeah. And I work corporate too because I worked at Hot 97 in Atlanta for a while.
Oh, did you really?
So that was completely corporate, and it was cutthroat and ugly. Whereas, here we can, if you want to go run some ideas by the owner, the actual owner of the company, you can.
Right.
And it's pretty cool.
When I'm sitting here talking to you, I'm listening to your voice, and it does piss me off a little bit because you have the cool radio voice. I find myself wanting to talk a little bit, I find,
we can change up the voice.
No, don't do that on me. I'm starting to get used to it. I just find myself going, be careful. Don't go down that road trying to sound cool, man. Just,
Well, you should hear my boss. He has the
Keith?
He has the pipes. Yeah.
Keith Landecker.
Yeah,
he does. Well, the two of y'all talking, probably people just sit next to the room and go, oh, listen, they're having an argument. Let's just listen to those voices. Doesn't really matter. Yeah, so we mentioned this before. I was surprised as we're having donuts one day. The nectar of life. Okay, wait a minute. Before I go on, that's why I love podcasts. We can change up where we're going. Before I go on, I was there 2-3 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
I was having a donut.
Mm-hmm.
There was a smell. On Wednesdays, you have this cool company that comes in and cooks different things for you guys, right?
Oh, Chef Mike.
Yeah. Great stuff, man. This is a shout out to them. They do great stuff. But you guys were having to eat on the air the testicles.
Yes.
What were they? Pigs roasted?
Rooster.
Man, that didn't smell good.
I didn't know that they were so well endowed. It was. Can we cuss this podcast, right?
Yeah, I'll put a warning on this one. We're good.
Oh, okay. Well,
go for it.
It's fucking huge. I didn't know those. So he fried them, he breaded them in flaming hot Cheetos.
Here's what I know. We normally, when y'all walk out and say, does anybody want to try one of these? Everybody kind of goes, eh. There was no volunteer line that day.
No, it was weird. And it's like, well, what did it taste like? Chicken, weird chicken.
Well, I did hear one of y'all on the air say that when you bit into it, it was like
it exploded and that was Gary. He said it exploded in my mouth. I was like, that was chicken porn.
I feel like this radio show should have been X-rated. You know what I'm saying? Like there's in the back there should have been bounce chicken bounce.
Exactly.
I'm here to check your copier, sir.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Gary was slutty. He took the load and it's.
I got to be honest with you. He is one of those Comic Con guys. That's funny though. I just remember the smell of the cooking it. Yeah. And I was out there eating the donuts, and I felt sorry for you. I was like, hey, man, we can't. And do this.
It really wasn't the worst thing though. He brought some stuff in that.
He does all good.
Horrible.
Well, but I think part of that is that's the stick.
Yeah.
On that day, sometimes they want to challenge you guys and girls.
Yeah. You've got to challenge the palate, and you've got to change some stuff up. So you've got to at least try it.
Y'all go ahead and eat those nuts. I'm going to eat my donuts out there.
We ate those too.
That cleansed your palate.
Yeah, exactly.
That get some of that. That changed things up. But I didn't know you were also a stand-up comedian.
Yes.
And I, again, doing the power of assumption, I go, oh, you've been doing that a couple years. And then we're sitting here, and you've been doing it for like over 20 years.
Yeah.
Or close to it.
Yeah, it's been a while, man. When I first started, I was hanging out with, this is crazy, and I get upset thinking about it. I was hanging out with the guys like D.L. Hughley and who else? Bill Bellamy, John Denton, who was on the show with Queen Latifah, Living Single.
Uh-huh.
I was doing that stuff. And then I did some regional stuff, and I was trying to decide whether or not if comedy was going to be the full-time thing or if radio was going to be the full-time thing. So Mike over at the Comedy Catch says, dude, you have it. He said, I can gear you, guide you as much as I can. He says, but you're just going to have to make the decision whether or not you want to hit the road and go from hotel to hotel, or be funny on the radio, get a nice little check, and then stay at home. So
family?
Now. At the time, I didn't.
Yeah.
But radio was so new because I didn't know anything about radio. And I was like, hey, this is pretty cool. Then I just try to do a little bit of both for a while. But, after hotel rooms that smell like pee and people shorting your money, and it's like, I think this radio thing is going to be pretty cool.
I listen to a podcast, Joe Rogan podcast, and he has comedians he's funny, and they talk, and they have these podcasts that are 2 and 3 hours, and they just consume my days a lot of times, that background noise. But he talks about that travel thing all the time, how it's paying your dues, but unless you really you see the light at the end of the tunnel, it's easy just to go screw that.
Yeah, and you never know if you're gonna pop or not. Like a friend of mine, Roy Woods Jr. I mean, he was in radio, he was in Birmingham, and now he's one of the biggest things out there right now.
Who is it? What's his name?
Roy Wood Jr.
Yeah, I got to get it. I'm old. I'm older than you. I got to get in tune. If he's out there and new, I got to listen to him.
What's the name of the guy? He's from South Africa. Has his show. God, I'm sorry that.
No, you're okay.
It.
We don't have a commercial break.
It is. It's national.
Is it local? I mean, not local, but I mean, is he United States, or is he in the United States and he's from Australia, or is he doing it from?
He's from South Africa, but is it the
sorry.
Today Show or the?
Well, we're just gonna type it in right here. Look, this is the good thing. South Africa. Hey,
just
Parker,
pull up Roy Wood Jr.
Oh yeah, Parker, do not take this out. Roy Wood, right there.
Yep.
All right, let's look at it.
He's on. He does commentary on the show. You know the guy who I'm talking about. There he is. Yeah.
Oh, I've seen his face. I know who that guy is. Once you see his, I'm a face guy.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to find out what the name of The Daily Show.
The Daily Show.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, he's on that.
Okay.
I mean, and you just.
So you were hanging out with those guys.
Yeah, I mean, I know that guy.
Really?
I've been on the road with him and everything.
So you said it makes you, sometimes you don't like to think about hanging out with those guys at one point in time. Is that where you were heading?
I think so. I mean, you just make decisions, and this guy, he was on the radio in the morning with Ricky Smiley, who's on Power now, who's also extremely large. And I remember doing shows and stuff with him. But I mean, these are the guys that would, go to. He would have like a maybe a 4-hour radius, and if it was within that radius, he would go and do his sets and drive back to Birmingham, do a show, then drive back to the club, and then do another. Yeah. So if he had multiple. So after a while, if you want to do that, I mean, that's okay. I mean,
and you're doing all that hoping that somebody calls you one day and goes, "Hey, by the way, stop doing that. We got to do this now."
Because once you get to a certain level, everybody's funny. It's just who knows you. And
I've got a buddy. I've not heard him, so I just know he's made the transition from a sales rep in technology, I think, or something.
Mm-hmm.
I went to Carson Newman College. He was one of my roommates. He played basketball. And I'll say this, he doesn't mind. He's a big, tall, goofy white dude. Mm-hmm. He's about 6'8", 6'9", one of those guys that always thought he could dance and always looked dumb dancing. And his name's Brian Morton, and I'll say it to him. But he's out of Bristol, Tennessee. Mm-hmm. And I've not heard him, but I saw him pictures the other day. He was hanging out with, I think he had gone to see a Ron White concert or maybe open. I don't know. But he's funny. Mm-hmm. But, I always was in the room. He was never that funny. Yeah. So you just like to know when somebody, you're like, that guy's a good athlete, but he was never that great, and he makes it big. So I hope by watching him, I think he probably going through the same thing you're going through right now, because I see him at these nightclubs all the time, and he's making the trips, and I think he's putting in his dues, and he's starting off a little late in life. He's probably in his late 40s. Yeah. So, he's probably 48, 49. Yeah. But it doesn't matter. Life's too short not to try.
Yeah, if that's what you want to do. I mean, it's not like you're going to get rich.
Do you have so you traveled a bunch when you were doing the comedy? Let's stay on that for a second. Mm-hmm. What's your kind of comedy? Are you the dirty comedy?
Oh yeah, I'm nasty. But I try to connect it with, current events, things that have happened in my life. I'm just vulgar by nature. Yeah. Honestly. I mean, I remember when I was 7 and 8, my mom and dad were asleep, and I would sneak back into the den so I could watch Richard Pryor. On TV. I remember my brother caught me one time. He came back from a date, and I was just looking at him. I was like, "Are you gonna tell?"
He's like, being narc.
He was like, "No, I'm getting ready to watch it with you."
Snitches get stitches, man. Right. Yeah, no, we'll tear it up, move furniture.
So Richard Pryor and Red Fox and
here's what surprises people about Red Fox. So when I grew up, one of my favorite shows with my grandfather was Sanford and Son. Mm-hmm. I used to watch that because it was All in the Family, or Archie Bunker. Yep. Then it was the Red Fox, Sanford and Son. Then the Bonanza or something came on. Then the Braves, and that was I hung out with my grandfather 3 days a week, dude, and growing up. But so when I grew up, Red Fox was this funny, cantankerous old guy that, like that grandfather, a little bit racist, a little bit funny,
Yeah.
But I loved him, right? Because my grandfather loved him. And then you start listening, and you get into junior high. I was in the early 80s, and I started getting cassette tapes, Boys and Girls, and 8 tracks that were going out. But you start listening to him, and I was like, he taught what?
Yeah.
And, and then you start realizing, he's funny.
Yeah.
He's not just like TV funny.
Yeah.
He's like funny.
Yeah.
And then that starts taking a whole new meaning on when you start realizing how there's a talent. I listen to Joe Rogan, and I don't know how you do it. Do you have a process? Is it real, like you work out material?
Yeah, you have to.
Really?
Yeah.
So how do you do, what is your process? Do you write stuff down?
I grab my phone. If an idea hits, I'll talk the whole story out of how I'm going to break everything down, or if the joke has layers, because sometimes, you can have 4, 5, 6 layers to one joke that will take you back to the original point.
Right.
And then I have to talk all of that out, and then I'm a visual learner, so then I'd have to write it out and make a diagram. And it's crazy because sometimes, man, you could spend hours and you're like, I'm going to kill them with this. And then you just get.
And you're like, y'all not hear me?
But, it.
But you know what's really weird? I think some people have it naturally. I hate to say this because I've done stuff funny. I've said stuff funny.
Yeah.
But I think the difference between what you're talking about is there's funny people.
Yeah.
And there's people that know how to be funny.
Right.
Because
there's a big difference.
Somebody can say something funny and the timing be right. They set it up. They use good spacing. They use somebody else's. They bounced off somebody else. Yeah. And that's just somebody's nature. But it takes a different set of eyes to look at a story and create that.
I challenge everybody. For some reason, when people, like I just had a guy that said he came to my comedy show last week. He says, "Oh man, you know what, man? I got some jokes, man. I'm gonna write some jokes and get on there." I was like, "Please do, please, come on out," because you got to think about it. This is still the hardest form of entertainment. It is you, a microphone, and your wits.
Absolutely,
and a bunch of strangers.
Well, I tell people this when I've talked about sports. I love sports. I played rugby. I do boxing. I do there's nerves and everything. But if you're a wrestler or you're a boxer, man, there's a certain one-on-one element where it's lonely.
Yeah.
When they call you to the middle of the ring and you're looking at the other guy and he ain't smiling, it's lonely.
Yeah.
Knowing when they about to ring the bell. I would imagine.
Did I train enough?
Well, it's a lot like comedy, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You're right there. You're at the curtain. They're announcing you. They're about to say your name. Yeah. And you're like, holy shit.
Here we go.
What joke did you ever blank?
Of course.
How do you cover that, dude?
You
talk yourself through it.
Sometimes, and sometimes you're talking about your joke, and then they are laughing, and when you have the audience, you're like, oh yeah, this is a good audience. And then you can just that's when you start doing no look passes. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, I'm gonna shoot this one with one eye closed.
Is it a good place to try new stuff? If you've got the audience to mix something in, say, I'm going to try. I'm going to throw this one in there. If they're receptive,
it's just all energy, man, because I'm a musician, too.
What instruments?
I play bass, drums, a little bit of keys.
Dude, you're pissing me off a little bit.
Dude.
You're tall. You got a good beard. You got a good beard.
Which is great now, and it won't be tomorrow.
Oh.
I just want to let you know that.
Are you, good thing. Are you getting it all worked on?
Yeah, I do that all the time.
Do you really?
People think that oh man, I see that gray coming in. Yeah, wait till tomorrow.
It's going out.
It's going out. Yeah.
Walking it right out the door.
But with jokes, man, I mean, it's just
it's an art form, I think.
It is, and it's a lot of it is just I've watched guys that have been doing it for a long time, and you're like, oh my God, these dudes are Jedis.
Well, so I always look at people. I love hearing I don't say the word speech. I hate it. I like hearing someone talk that's entertaining, that knows when to keep it short, when to keep it long. I know that sounds weird, but I like motivational video. Not even motivational. It can be entertaining, educational. I love to hear someone that knows how human nature works.
Yeah.
And when you're a comedian, if you're going to be a good comedian, you got to know, you don't want to rev up too much. You don't want to keep pushing the joke too far.
Right.
I've been in rooms when I've been sitting in the audience and I've seen it change.
Yeah.
I've seen a comedian not read the room. And they say, okay, dude, you said that 4 times.
Right.
Move, stop. We know that's your default.
And a lot of people don't understand that there is basically like a formula. You should have so many laughs every so many minutes.
You're kidding me.
If you're really trying to make it happen, yeah. So you write your first 3 minute to 5 minute set, and then that'll stretch to 10, then that'll stretch to 15. So every few minutes you should have some laughs, and you've got to set it up to where
you count them.
That happen. I mean, once you start doing it for a while, you just get a rhythm of what's going on. And I'll hit them with some jokes that are general that everybody can get. Then you'll hit some jokes that maybe only males will get, and then females, and then you just go from there.
What's the largest crowd you've been in front of when it comes to comedy?
Memorial Auditorium.
Oh, really? Were you opening?
Yeah.
Who were you opening for?
That was me and Bill Bellamy and D.L. Hughley and Steve Harvey. I think Ricky
Just
Smiley
a bunch of no names.
guys that I had never heard of before in my life, and did pretty good. And then that's when other guys said, "Hey man, I've got a show in Birmingham or in Jackson. We can give you a little something. Come in and do maybe 15 minutes." And at the time, you're just like, "Oh yeah, I can do that." I mean, I still do that to this day though.
Do you still? I was going to ask you, how much traveling do you do now? With you got family and everything?
Not a lot, man. I've just got out of AAU basketball season. My son is graduating this year, so now he was the one that said, "Dad, I think it's about time for you to start getting back on the stage."
Really?
Yeah, because I was about to go there, and he came to me at 13 and said, "Dad, I want to get better at basketball, and I need your help with the puppy dog guys."
Yeah.
And I was like, all right.
Puppy dog
so
guys.
I had to put everything on hold, which was not a problem at all. But now it's just,
Hey, folks, don't forget this episode is brought to you by JB Millworks. JBMillworks.com. Did you play ball?
Back in. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
What did you play ball at?
Brainerd High School.
Oh, did you? What year did you graduate Brainerd?
88.
Oh, man. So this were you there with Coach Jenkins? With not Jenkins.
Coach High?
No. I'm thinking of football coach.
Oh.
Okay. I'll think of it in just a minute. I did strength training over there for the football team one summer. It was about 88 or 89. I came in for a summer. The football coach was
Coach Soros?
No. He's now a big wig in the city. I'll think of it in just a minute. This is how me and a friend, Bubba Swint, Walter Swint, went to Rossville High School. He graduated in 82. I graduated in East Ridge, but I ran a gym, Living Well Fitness Centers on Ringo Road. On Brainerd Road. Mm-hmm. And he came to me one day and he goes, "Hey, listen," because I never had a really strong bench, but I could deadlift, power clean pretty good, and I could squat. Yeah. He goes, "Come over here and help me with these kids." They were mostly 16, 17-year-old kids football team. Yeah. He goes, "You can help them with the squat and the deadlifts and all that stuff. I'll help them with the bench and the sprints," because he was a sprinter. Mm-hmm. He played football at UTC. I'm like, "Sure." So, and I'm going to think of it in just a minute. Lerone Jennings.
Yeah, Coach Jennings.
Yeah, Coach Jennings. Yeah. He's the one that asked us to come over and do that. And so that's how I met Lerone Jennings over there. Yeah. Now, one of my buddies graduated. You know Bill Middlebrooks?
Yeah.
He was in my wedding. Yeah.
Get out.
He's a good buddy of mine. Yeah, I went to Carson Newman.
Oh, man.
I was up there doing my thing, and he was up there doing his.
And his Kim and
his cousin Terrence. I think he moved to Nashville.
Yeah, Bill. He used to come over to the house and shoot ball.
Bill
was in the 12th grade when I was in the 10th grade.
So Bill and I were on a 3-on-3 team. You can have 5 on 3-on-3 tournaments, and we play here in Knoxville and go to Nashville and stuff and play in 3-on-3 tournaments.
Yeah,
those outdoor tournaments.
They should have won the state that year. Actually, it should have been 86, 87, and then we won it in 88. But
so Bill, a great story. I hope he hears this. So we were at Carson Newman. I had a little apartment. It was me and about 6 or 7 buddies in this. I had a basement apartment. And I was a year older than Bill at the time. As far as college, it took me a while to get through college anyway. Everybody mind your own damn business. So Bill goes, "I'm hungry." It's 12:30. Well, I had just wrecked my car running from the police. So as a reward, I got to drive a 10-speed bike.
Nice.
Thank you very much. It was awesome talking about a motorcycle. So anyway, Bill said, "Can I take your bike?" I only lived like a quarter mile from the Burger King, McDonald's, because it was a little tiny town. I said, "Man, go for it." Yeah. He goes, "Anybody want anything?" So all of us kind of put in an order. Well, we weren't thinking. Now, how tall are you?
I'm 6'4".
Bill's your height, or maybe an inch or two.
Yeah,
somewhere. He's okay. So my 10-speed's built for a 5'10" guy, right?
Yeah, right.
So it's like 45 minutes later, and we're like, "Where in the hell is Bill Middlebrooks?" So we go up to the road, and we're looking, and down the road, it's like 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning now. There's just street lights, and there's silhouettes of the trees, because we live out in Jefferson City, and you see a 10-speed, and these knees are up around his ear. He's got bags on the steering wheel. Wow. We had all ordered stuff, man. He had food for 6 people. He was so ticked off. He was sweating like a thief in church, man. It was one of my funniest things I ever saw in my entire life. He just threw my bike down and said, man, I hate you. I hate you. I hate all of you. Just threw his food down. I can't believe you know Bill. That's pretty good.
Oh, yeah, man.
That's pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
The comedy thing, though, going back, let's go back and we'll wrap that part of it up. When you're putting together a joke, what do you get them from? Is it just life, or do you actually deliberately go find jokes?
I think it's a mixture of everything. Sometimes I'm having a conversation with my brother or my son. He came up with something the other day that he just thought that was hilarious, and I was like, "That's pretty funny." And then you just write it down, and then I might not, finish that joke at that particular time. I'll put it aside, and then I'll come back to it, maybe add something to it or take something away. And then sometimes when you're working out on your material, a comedian will come in and say, hey, when you said this, why don't you try this one? It's like, all right, okay, I'll try that. And you kind of fine tune it. So it's not like when you finish writing the joke, it's done.
Yeah.
You can modify it and change it. Roy Wood did me like that a number of times.
Do you keep notebooks?
Yeah, oh yeah.
I keep notebooks for ideas.
Yeah.
And so, do you ever had anybody steal your material?
Of course. Last month in Atlanta.
Really?
I did a set at it's called Relapse Theater, downtown Atlanta. So promoting the show, I took a snippet of one of the sets that I had done and put it on my Instagram page and tagged everybody on there just to let them know that I was going to be there. I told all my friends in Atlanta, come out, hang out, whatever. And it was 6 comedians. I was the 4th one. And the guy that came up right before me told the joke that I put on my Instagram page, which was 2 weeks prior. And I was like, okay, here we go. Now it's happened before, but this one was a kind of a special show, and I was wanting to, make an impression. So then when he comes back into the green room, I'm just looking at him. And he never looked at me. He just was looking at his phone, just typing in his phone. I was
Did you ever say anything to him?
No, I didn't say anything.
He knew.
And another comedian friend of mine who lives in Atlanta was there, and he came over. He said, dude, this happened to me last week. Atlanta's a whole different kind of weird. Now, everybody wants to be a star.
I was doing a roast for a guy here in Chattanooga,
Mm-hmm.
and there was a group of about 400 people. It was a buddy of mine, Charlie Hunt. So he had a bunch of judges, Judge Bean, Gerald McCormick, state rep,
Mm-hmm.
me, Zach Wamp. Anyway, so, of course, I was the least well-known person, so I was going to go first.
Right.
But this is why I like comedians, because I had to do 5 minutes of intentionally being funny. This ain't at a party where you just fall into a routine
Right.
and you can be a shine. Now, this is somebody, every 400-something people looking at you going, make us laugh.
Right.
Say something funny.
Right.
And so I had worked on it, man. I'd found jokes on the internet. I took stories, anyway, and lied. You just exaggerate the truth.
Yeah.
But I found a cool website. And of the 5 minutes, I used probably 2 minutes of it was just these little jokes you could take about roasting jokes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm standing up at the podium and I'm doing it, and I start getting the audience going, man. I'm feeling the vibe.
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
this is kick ass.
Yeah.
But I look over to Gerald McCormick, who's sitting, and he's just scratching jokes off because I'd been to the same website. and as soon as we got done, he came over and he goes, I should have gone first. He goes, you took my 5 best jokes. And I was so proud of myself. I looked over at him because I saw him do it. And I said, you all right, Gerald? He just looked at me, just threw his hand up. He just like, don't even, man.
Gotcha.
I was like, so, that was pretty funny. That's my one attempt at trying to be funny in public.
That's crazy.
But I love the fact that people, when they get in front of folks, they can get the audience.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever find one person in the audience that is not going to laugh? Just that one person, and you kind of do you ever look at him and go, I'm going to make him, my mission is to make you at least giggle? Or do you not worry about that kind of stuff?
Not really, because after a while, after you've done it a while, it's funny.
That's on them.
It's funny. I know it's funny. And then if they're not feeling it or they're not connecting to it, I'll just point to whatever sound like the comedy catch. This is jokes, people. This is the comedy catch. You came here to laugh.
Loosen it up.
Loosen it up a little bit. Have a drink.
Yeah.
And then you'll get the jokes. But some people they're just determined not to laugh, and I can't worry about those people.
They heckle. You get hecklers.
I mean, if they want to, we can go there. We can go there. But normally,
those are my favorite YouTube videos, though.
The hecklers are at the black clubs.
Oh, really?
If you're not funny, boo, get off the stage. And that's when
So you're saying
gonna
the
have
white
to,
crowd's a little more, they're going to give you a little more rope on it. They're going to give you a little leeway to run with it.
Yeah, basically.
Be a
I
little
mean,
more polite.
it's their job. It's your job to make me laugh.
Well, you know, I heard a comedian the other day, and I'm not going to steal material, but he's talking about the difference between white churches and black churches.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a difference. And I've been to
Big
both.
difference.
Black funerals and white funerals. I've
Big
been to both.
difference.
So when you're talking about nightclubs, doesn't surprise me.
No.
I'm a little more vocal.
Hey, bro.
Expectations are here.
When they said that, what is that, the new Avengers movie?
Yeah.
It's like 3 hours long.
Yeah.
The black church has prepared me for that. This is nothing. You guys are lightweights.
There's a comedian, and I wish I could remember, he's on YouTube, but he talks about that. He says he's dating a black girl.
Mm-hmm.
He's a white guy. He goes, and I'm at her church, and I'm like, you know, people start yelling back at 1 o'clock in the afternoon or 2 o'clock. I got things to do. Why do you people keep, you know what I'm saying?
That's Gary Owen.
There is a like real pasty dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Married to a black girl.
Funny.
He's hilarious.
He's funny. I'd never seen him before. Those little clips, once you watch one on Facebook, they start feeding them to you.
And you just roll.
Dude,
Bill Burr's the same way.
Now, Bill Burr's he's my favorite.
Hilarious.
He
talked about dating a black girl that lived in, I think it was Brooklyn or somewhere. And check that bit out. That's funny.
To me, he is the best. He's in the top 5 best comedians right now.
Hands down.
Period.
Hands down.
He has the
just angry.
God, but he says stuff that just makes sense.
Yeah.
And you start listening to it. Hey,
Yeah.
man, I'm not even going to try. I'll get in trouble. Locally, you don't have that clout. You know, I don't have that clout to say the stuff he says.
The one thing that I noticed is that when they don't know you, you've got to hit them with jokes. And that's when a laugh every so many minutes because they don't know who you are.
Yeah.
The more you get established, the more you can start telling stories like a Kevin Hart story. So all of his stuff is stories. But I was having a discussion with D.L. Hughley, and I said, man, the thing that's upsetting is that I can tell the exact same joke that you tell, but because you are who you are, it's going to be 1,000 times funnier. He was like, dude, that's just the name of the game. So you just got to stay in the game. And once you do that.
Well, I think it's like music.
Yeah.
How many times have you had a great artist release a song that just sucks? It's a terrible song, and it goes to the top of the charts. You're like, why is that song?
How did that happen?
Yeah, that's you know why? It's because it's Leonard Skinner or it's somebody. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just because that's why everybody falls in love with the Beatles. I hate the Beatles. I've said it 100 times. I think the Beatles suck. I don't like the Beatles.
Damn.
Yeah, I don't like the Beatles. I mean, if you played all their music, there may be 1 or 2 songs I go, okay.
This came along at the right time.
If I say that to enough people.
Oh, yeah, no, yeah.
Tell somebody you hate Elvis. Let me know how that works out for everybody. Can't hate Elvis.
Well, I have my opinions about Elvis.
Again, right time in history. For a comedian, you sure are holding your tongue a lot.
Yeah. Elvis hung out with the brothers. Everybody knows that.
Well, of course that, yeah.
But he didn't give a lot of credit to the brothers.
Well, there's a whole era through there.
Oh,
where
yeah.
When in the music, in entertainment overall.
Period, yeah.
There was a lot of, we talked about stealing a minute ago.
Yeah.
And I also think, though, when you start talking about things like that, there is also part of that's, not all that's racist. Sometimes it's just human nature. You become who you hang around.
Sometimes it's just business.
Yeah, well, and sometimes they're funnier than you.
Yeah.
Or sometimes they make better music, and you say, I want to start making music like that. Why? Because that sounds great.
Yeah.
And the whole not giving credit part, though, there's a nastier side. There's a lot of people didn't get paid either.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of people that should have money that don't when it comes from the entertainment industry.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes people get, they're afraid to talk about it because it's a reflection of them currently. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, if I'm afraid if I talk about this, it makes me look bad. I didn't steal shit from anybody.
That's a good point.
You know, that's my,
And then that's just music. That's just a business.
Yeah, absolutely.
You got to learn the business. And a lot of people are just so sensitive now, man. You just got to, I was watching an interview with Sean Combs, Puffy, P. Diddy, or whatever the hell he's going by this week. And it was a producer that was his friend that went to college with him. And he signed him to a production deal. And once the guy went through the whole deal, he was like, this sucks. He's going to beat me over the head. And then he said he physically charged Puffy like, dude, what the freak, man? This sucks. How am I going to make any money? And then he said, Sean was like, well, I mean, you don't have to sign it if you don't want to. Hey, there's a party later on tonight. You want to go? It's like, wait a minute, dude. You're trying to rip me.
Yeah, they make it the like, because we're friends,
You're going to take care of me.
And see, well, part of that is, and here's what I think: a lot of people that don't make it are probably don't have that killer instinct,
right?
Because I will take care of you. So
right.
instead of making millions, I'll make hundreds of thousands.
Right.
Well, you don't retire off hundreds of thousands.
No,
you retire
do not.
off millions and millions.
That's exactly correct.
And I think a lot of people that go, I'm going to take care of E. Yeah, he's my, I'm going to take care of him. He's my buddy. That guy may not make it.
No. Put it in writing. Put it in writing. We can go.
Sounds like somebody's learned that the hard way.
Oh, I think everybody has after a certain amount of time in the game.
Do you play in a band? Do you do solo stuff? What do you do?
I
Do you
play
sing?
for whoever that pays me. I play in church now, so that's a nice little steady. And then I just enjoy the guys that play. But I've played for Christian artists. I played for some rappers in Atlanta. I played for
really
whoever. Yeah.
What's your favorite music? What's your favorite kind of music?
I really don't have a favorite type, like a genre or anything. If it just vibes, man, I don't give a damn.
Yeah.
It's just one. If it's country, if it's bluegrass and I feel it, I just feel it.
I listened to an interview with John Fogerty, CCR, the other day. I've heard it twice, but Dan Rather, the big interview, which I love listening to those interviews. And if you're a musical guy, you should listen to it.
Okay.
Because he talks about the process of writing music.
Yeah.
He's in his 60s at the time, 70s when this interview came out.
Mm-hmm.
And he still gets up an hour every morning to practice his guitar every day, 7 days a week.
Really?
Every morning.
That's pretty cool.
It's very cool. And it goes back to that discipline. But he was talking about he grew up on the West Coast, but he's writing a lot of this Southern stuff about the Louisiana and all that. He said because he grew up in church, he said the church influence wore off on him, the country influence. He says now you got rock. But I think I listened to what you just said, and I listened to his interview. And music, the vibe is what really attracts people.
That's all it is.
It's
man.
the vibe.
Yeah, if you can feel it, and there's nothing like the exchange. It's just like comedy. It's nothing like the exchange. Like when we rehearsed it, and the band is like really, really tight, and everybody starts to feel it, and then you see that, and you're like, dude, this is the best drug ever.
Yeah.
And same thing with making somebody laugh to where a girl is about to pee herself or whatever. That's pretty cool.
All right, so the fairy godmother comes to you and says, all right, you are now the most famous, funniest comedian on planet Earth, or you're the best, whatever instrument you like, guitarist, and you're playing in the most well-known band. What do you take?
Who is it, Satan? It's
maybe.
Offering us that?
Maybe. I got somebody outside wants to talk to you.
What's happening,
the
Lou?
Crossroads.
What's happening, Lou?
The cross.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah, so, I mean, I guess my question is, if you could pick which one would you like? Which one do you like the most? Or is it just, it doesn't matter?
Out of like
the
comedy and music, it's all the same to me. It's just, I'm a creative. So, and I've got it. That would be torture. If I had to choose, oh, hell no.
You sucked at guitar, but you could be the best comedian, or you're the best guitarist.
I like all of it, man.
You like radio too?
Yeah. That's why I stuck around.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know anything about that when I first got into it.
What
I just knew what sounded good.
Is that why do you get the same kick out of radio? Or has it become a job yet?
Yeah. When it stopped, it didn't stop being fun. You just started understanding what business was about. You know what I mean? Because when I got in, I was early 20s. So I was still just about, going backstage, hanging out, and, what we talked about earlier off mic. But now, I'm in a program director position. I'm responsible for how it sounds, and it's different. I don't want to say it's not as fun. I want to say that I find the fun in trying to produce the best sounding product. The fun now is, oh God, that edit sucks. We need to go ahead and read it. You know what? Let me change this song around because the flow is going to be a lot better. And then I'm driving in the car and then I hear a drop and I'm like, oh God, why did I edit it like that? You know what I mean? I guess just getting older. You know how it is.
Same thing. Well, I bet you think the same thing. You go up on stage doing a comedy bit. You do one of your stories and it gets a laugh, but you start thinking about it. Go, man. Yeah. I wish I'd have done it this way.
All the time.
I wish I'd have done it that way.
All the freaking time.
Or you hear somebody else deliver it a certain way, and you go, man, I wish I should have done. I need to practice that part of it.
And the cool thing too, man, the radio part, even though it is a job and that's my livelihood, there is still such a creative aspect to it. And I work for a company that allows you to they'll say, all right, these are the parameters. Anything inside of these parameters, you can do whatever you want to do as long as you produce. And you don't want to disappoint because they're allowing you so much, leeway.
Which you don't get in the big corporations.
That you know.
Here they hand you creativity.
No,
Here's
dude,
what you're gonna do.
I worked in Atlanta, man, and I said, I said Jaguar. The liner was brought to you by Jaguar of Atlanta. Blah 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 blah. And the phone rings, and it's one of the salespeople. It is not Jaguar. It is Jaguar. I was like, what is it? Jaguar. The client had just called me and said, you said it wrong. And I'm like, it's freaking Jaguar. It's whatever. Just go.
Hey, guess what? If they're wanting to buy it, they can get the name. I'm got to get them to the parking lot. I got to get them to the store.
Yeah,
they tone it down. So the radio station you work at, the comedy and the music, it allows you this creative freedom. I want to spend a little more time on the music side of it. I taught Scott Chase over at KZ106. He came in with me and did a podcast. We were talking about how musicians and labels used to get artists and their songs in front of radio stations.
Mm-hmm.
They used to send you stuff. They used to bring the artist up for tours. They used to give you swag.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, we would need you to play our stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of changed.
Oh, yeah.
Because the internet now, YouTube, Facebook, we would like to have you help us out. But if not, I can get 200,000 views on YouTube in the next 24 hours.
Yeah. And, that's kind of the same thing with comedy. I was talking to Mike Alfano. There are guys that are doing skits and stuff on YouTube. And because of their popularity on YouTube, they're now being booked by clubs.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't matter if you're funny or not. You sold it out 2 days in 2 days. You know what I mean? And
you're just bringing people. You're
just bringing bodies. That's all
you're
it is.
An ATM.
That's so. If you talk to some of the older comedians, some are saying, "Hey, man, I'm not gonna knock anybody's hustle. Get your money." Then you have the other ones that are just like really true to form of comedy and what comedy is, and they're not really funny. They haven't paid their dues. I mean, it is what it is.
There's divides like that, old and new, and there always is.
Yeah.
Whether it's in church, we're not here to be entertained.
Right.
Remember,
this is not gospel music.
That's right. Absolutely. Yeah. And I actually went through that in our church years ago. And I asked a guy, and I said, tell me what year God quit inspiring people to write music, and I'll stop listening at that year. Yeah, you tell me what year God told you that from 1987 on.
I can't even.
Did you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's the same. It's the same thing. There's always going to be divides between the young and the old, the way we've always done it. Hey, folks, don't forget, this episode is also brought to you by Team Monteith with Keller Williams. Find ChattanoogaRealEstate.com. Let me just ask you this point blank, and let's see if you give the political answer, which is fine, if that may be your real answer. Is music now as good as it has always been? Or are we in an era where it's more about celebrity? Is there good music out there? Is there a lot of it?
There is. Are the good artists and the good music getting the light? Are they getting the opportunity? Probably not, because record companies, I don't care what anybody says, they still run the world. They're not making as much money as they used to, and they're trying to find ways to do it. But if you get on the radio, 9 times out of 10, you're still gonna make some noise. But there are a lot of artists. There are some artists that don't even want a major label deal. And I'm cool with my YouTube channel. I'm cool with my SoundCloud. I'm making some money. And it sounds great.
Will radio stations still play independent people like that? And Clint Powell makes a song. I got all kinds of YouTube hits. People love my music. If I send it to you, can it get on the radio, or does it actually have to go through a label now?
No, it's still a process. I mean, there are a lot of independent people that have ties to a major, but they're still independent. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They
made the right connections and all of that.
Yeah.
But there's a ton of artists out there that are killer that will never make. I mean, it's just like, there are some people that they just won't make it to that level because whether or not they're overlooked or whether or not they say this is not the way that I want to go. Or I remember when I was in college and I was with this singing group and we were trying to get on, and we went to Music Row, and this was for a developmental deal for RCA. And the guy had just to show the age. Dat tapes all on his desk, and he asked one of the guys that I was singing with. He said, "Hey, pick a dat tape on my desk," and he picked one. And he took that one and he took the other ones and put them in the garbage. And he said, "I just need one group." He said, "Everybody on my." He said, "If you make it to my desk, you're good." He says, "But I just needed one group." And yeah, man. And when you're creative, you're like, "Oh my God, that's what it is. That's it."
You just threw all those dreams, man. Yeah. But you know how it is. They're used to that. It's the business.
It's business.
And they're hopefully got that tape on 12 guys' desk or women's desk or wherever it needs to get to. But in reality, but it is nice to live in a world now to where if you wanted to start controlling your own destiny, if you're a comedian or an artist of any kind, you do have access to more venues now. I'm just not locked into having to get on Power 94 or KZ 106.
Yeah,
I can get on YouTube if I don't know the right people.
Yeah,
I can still get my product out.
Remember years ago, I was working when I was at Hot. There's a guy that you might know that I worked with, and his name is Ludacris.
No, I never heard of
that guy.
Never
heard that guy? Yeah, no. Well, it doesn't matter.
Yes.
But I remember when he was on the air at the time.
I'm white, but I'm not that white.
It was.
I mean, damn, dude.
It was Chris Lover and Poon Daddy. That was his name. But I remember his first single that really made it big. He was selling them out of the trunk of his car, and I said, "Hey, man, I still do a radio show in Chattanooga. If you'd like me to take some of your records down, I can give them some of the DJs." He's like, "You do that?" I was like, "Yeah, why not?" So from that point, he started selling so many records. He was already making, 6 digits a year. And then that's when the labels came in and he had a little bit more leeway to say, "No, I don't want to do that. No, I don't want to do that. I still want to own my masters."
He had leverage.
He had leverage.
And in any business, whether it's real estate, you're selling widgets, or you're selling yourself, you try to have leverage over the product. Yep. And companies are always trying to find leverage over the artist. We go back to what we were talking about earlier. Yep. So when we do kind of take the idea or the sound, you can't really do anything about it.
No.
Yeah, because we have the leverage.
Yep.
But again, I think if you were to go back and ask everybody 30, 40 years ago, and we said, "Hey, we're going to give you magically this one thing called YouTube that is going to get in front of people, and you're not subject to having to take every deal, even a bad, shitty deal," they'd probably we'll sign us up. We want YouTube. Yeah. We'll take YouTube. Can you imagine? But you can put Red Fox on YouTube back in the day, or Richard Pryor, or any of them. I'll tell you one of my favorite comedians right now, or not right now. He's been around for a long time, but he's clean. Brian Regan. Yeah. To me, Brian Regan, his humor to me is so funny.
Clever.
Oh, it's clever as I'll get
clever.
out. And so is the guy from King of Queens. What's his name?
Oh, I know you're talking. I can't remember his name.
Kevin. He's in a bunch of movies too. Zookeeper, whatever. But there's comedians.
Mall Cop or whatever it was.
Mall Cop. Yeah. Paul Blart, Mall Cop. Yeah. Yeah, that's one of my favorite movies. That's a great movie. Yeah. Do you like silly movies?
Of course.
What's your favorite silly movie? You got a couple top 5?
Oh, man. We can go back to Richard Pryor and Gene Wilder, Stir Crazy, anything by Eddie Murphy. You name it.
See, I don't know. The new Eddie Murphys. When he started.
I mean, the classic stuff.
What's the Nutty Professor? I didn't like Nutty Professor.
I'm talking like Coming to America.
Coming to America is one of my favorites.
48 Hours and just all of that stuff.
I see. I go back. I love Caddyshack.
Caddyshack.
You ever seen Office Space?
Office Space.
It's one of my favorites. How about Super Troopers?
I didn't see Super Troopers.
Oh, well, dude, if you love Office Space, you got to go. Okay.
I've got to check that out.
Oh, there's at least, I guarantee you the first 10 minutes, you'll have at least 2 or 3 things you can quote out of the first 10 minutes.
God, what's the name of the movie? The Jerk.
Oh.
Just classic stupid stuff. Anything by Chevy Chase.
It's funny. Yeah, Chevy Chase. And it's old Chevy Chase, too.
Old
Fletch.
Chevy Chase. Yes.
Yes. That is one of my favorite of all time.
John Cock Toasting.
Dr. Rosenrosen. Do you have a gun? No.
Dr. Rosenpenis.
He's got one.
Yeah.
Why don't you go to the gym and pump each other?
Yeah.
We talked about, I can't remember if it's on a podcast or maybe just lunch at Merv's or something with a buddy, about movies you couldn't make now. The politically correct world now, I think, stifles. I mean, comedians can get away with stuff because they can go, "I'm a comedian." But if Clint says it, I don't get a job. I don't know,
man. You remember when Kevin Hart went through that?
Yeah, but see, that's stupid. Man, how many times the guy got to apologize? It was 10 years.
I know, man.
That's dumb.
I know. You have to tread light. That's why I love the comedy club so much.
Because in there, it's a
and
it's
there
sanctuary.
you can exactly. That
to me is the one of the last places you can really got free speech.
The problem with, and it's not really a problem, but what happened with Kevin is when you start attaching yourself to these major corporations and getting all of these endorsement deals, that's when you've got to walk a little bit, a little bit lighter, and then, you know.
I guess
it's a double-edged sword.
I just think it's silly. I think it's silly whether we do it in politics or whether we do it in comedian or with Clint or with Bob or Sue.
Yeah.
Well, if you said something 15, 20 years ago, hopefully you're not the same person.
Mm.
You've grown, you matured. And if I were to take anything you have said and take one snippet, a bad night, you've had a bad night, and I look at you and I go, okay, that's who you are forever. I get to judge your rest of your life based off this bad decision. Man, come on.
Yeah.
That's just dumb. Now, if it's consistent behavior and I can look over 20 years and go, okay, you're that person.
Exactly.
That's different.
Exactly.
But, I don't know. We were talking about Blazing Saddles. See, to me, Blazing
hilarious.
God,
hilarious.
Could never make it today. It would never make it to the big screen.
Oh,
it would
man,
never make it to the big screen.
That is such a shame.
I watched, there's a couple movies, Caddyshack, the Blazing Saddles, and I miss even The Jerk. Sometimes I get all excited because I look through the guide on the TV and I go, oh, The Jerk.
Yeah.
And I'll turn it on, but they've edited all the good stuff out. There's no reason to watch it.
Yeah.
I'm 10 minutes. I'm like, screw this. They're leaving out all the politically correct or cuss words.
Like Dave Chappelle, man. Oh my God, that is some of the funniest stuff ever.
Yeah. Well, and I think a good sign of stuff too is, who was the comedian I was listening to? I listened to Jay Leno on Joe Rogan's podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And if you've watched Jay Leno, you never heard him cuss.
Mm-hmm.
So when you start hearing him, and he's not a huge voice, he doesn't use tons of it. But when he starts dropping a few, you're like, oh, what?
Yeah.
And he starts sharing some of his stories about nightclubs.
Yeah.
It's not for the faint of heart. You're not going to be in the nightclubs doing comedy if you're a sensitive soul.
I opened up for Tracy Morgan, and I guess it was packed out, bro. It was wall to wall sellout. And the first thing that he said was, "This is not the Saturday Night Live Tracy Morgan. I just wanted to warn you guys." And then he just went into just some of the most vulgar stuff. People were getting up leaving.
Really?
It was I would love to tell the joke what he said. And it really wasn't even a joke. It was just him being he was vulgar the whole week though.
Really?
Straight New Yorker, man. I was like, oh man.
But see, that goes back to what you were saying. It's almost like the same thing. Kevin Hart starts taking money from big corporations.
Yeah.
So there's certain expectations.
Yeah.
If you've built your reputation and gotten the money and all that from Saturday night, all of a sudden people expect that of you.
Yeah.
And when you start disappointing them, even if it's funny, they may not give you a chance to get to the funny. They just are going to go, uh-oh, not going to do it.
But for him, he doesn't care.
No, he doesn't care a bit. Well, he's got the money.
He's got the money.
He's got the money. He can afford not to care.
Yeah, he doesn't care.
He can afford not to care. Have you met anybody in comedy that was kind of an ass? You know what I'm saying? They got this. The personality may be known to be nice, but
in music too.
Really?
Yeah.
Who's the one would surprise us? Anybody behind the scenes that you would say and be like, man, that guy or girl?
Steve Harvey is not really. Yeah.
You shut your mouth.
I'm sorry, but
what the hell? This podcast is over, sir. That guy's funny as dadgummit.
Really? I mean,
is he just kind of cold and businesslike?
I don't know. It's weird, man. It's more of a, I'm Steve Harvey and you're not. So you need to, talk to me.
That's disappointing.
Only talk to me when I've talked to you. Like, if you're familiar with D.L. Hughley's show, which now he's on TV now, which is really, really cool. His co-host, Jasmine, she's from Chattanooga.
Okay.
And I did mornings with her. And she was telling me about when she worked in New York City at WBLS, and she was only doing middays. Steve Harvey was the big guy.
Yeah, yeah.
And she said when he would come into the building, you would have to move up against the wall as he was walking down the hallway. But there are a number of comedians that will verify that, he didn't like Bernie Mac that much.
Really? And they did the King of Comedy.
Yeah. And it was just some jealousy stuff.
See, but to me, that's somebody that surrounded himself with too many yes men and didn't check him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You've got to have a friend that every now and then goes, hey, man, that's great. Come here, man. Hey, you're an ass. Stop doing that.
You suck.
Yeah, and you've got to be secure enough to keep that guy or girl in your life.
That's what Michael Jackson needed.
Michael Jackson.
That's what he needed.
Is that all?
He needed.
That's the one thing
he needed that guy from the hood. That was. I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying. I just think I'm just gonna have the kids over. Mike, you don't need to do that shit.
No.
What the hell are you doing? You gonna get
Come
that
on.
damn kid out your damn bed, Mike.
Okay, if we're going down that road, I think he needed a dad. Where is one of these kids' dads or moms? You tell me.
Joe was making money.
No. I'm talking about you. How old's your son?
He'll be 19 this month.
How old were the kids that he slept with? 8, 9, 10-year-olds, 12-year-olds.
Yeah.
Somebody's gonna come to you. I've heard this, and I'm not taking credit for it. This idea, but if somebody famous came to you right now and said, "Hey, man, here's a bunch of money. I'd like to hang out with your 10-year-old boy." Where's the father's ass, foot up his ass?
Oh,
You're not
no
going to
doubt.
take my son and sleep with him? That's
No
a
doubt.
daddy's fault.
No, oh yeah.
That's somebody's mom and
Somebody.
daddy. Somebody out there had to sign off on, go hand strolling down the hallway
Hey,
with
man.
my kid. That ain't happening, dude.
Hey,
That
dude.
ain't happening. I think I'm losing listeners, people that love Michael Jackson.
I love Mike.
Oh,
I've had people to call and say, when are you guys going to stop playing Michael Jackson on Big? We're not. Still Mike. Still Thriller. It's still, it's Mike.
The other side of that is we do this, movie stars. They went through the Me Too movement.
Yeah,
and it was, so now, and some people deserve to be, hey, let's cut them out of society. I get it. But it's possible for bad people to be creative geniuses.
Oh, no doubt.
And it doesn't mean that I'm supporting, I'm not supporting Kevin Spacey and the evil crap he did, but I like the movie. I like some of his movies. I think Michael Jackson was a freak. I think he did. I think personally, if whatever he did was, if that happened, evil, that's not good to do.
Yeah.
But let Thriller come on, or let,
dude, it's still
Billie Jean, and tell me if you
I'm
don't
still gonna
tap
listen
your
to
foot.
it. Yeah.
That's the same thing.
I still know all of the videos. I know every dance move.
I'll still laugh at what's the guy that just came back that got in trouble for closing the door and masturbating in front of girls. The big comedian.
That's not cool. I know you're talking about the redhead guy. Oh, God.
He's super funny.
Louis
C.K.
Yeah.
I think he's funny. He's
he
funny.
just did it at the wrong time. It's like, dude, what are you doing?
Well,
that's when you need that guy that says, what the fuck are you doing?
Knock on the door.
Right.
Hey, Louis.
Let me holler at you for a second.
Come here. Step out here
What
for
are
a
you
minute.
doing?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, man, I just lost my head.
My bad.
Yeah, I'm sorry about
well,
that.
and some things in life are just you can't just say my bad. There's got to be a little more.
Yeah.
Oops. No,
Yeah,
dude, that's
can't.
more than oops.
Yeah, you can't do that.
You know what changed my mind about a lot of this stuff?
Like
having a
Bill
daughter.
Clinton. Dude, you just can't.
No.
You just can't bust a nut on an intern, bro.
No. So, yeah. And so you took it down this road. I'm just going to say, for all the people that are killing our current president because he's not a moral stuff, and I don't look for my presidents to be moral leaders, by the way. You'd like for them to have a little more professionalism and act a little more presidential. My advice to President Trump is quit tweeting. Please, for the love of all that's good, stop tweeting. But for everybody that kind of said Bill Clinton was okay,
No, he was not.
he was not okay.
You can't listen, guys. You can't bust nuts on interns. As much as I think it's cool, I mean, honestly, if you're the most powerful person on the planet, you should be able to bust a nut on an intern. But you can't do that.
Well, here's the last thing. If you think that's the only president to
Hell
go
no.
back to,
Right.
there's been, and again, this is
JFK was a slut.
the problem I'm having is it's almost like if you acknowledge it, people act like you're condoning it. I'm not condoning it. I think,
No.
I think faithfulness inside a marriage or relationship is great. I think using the power of any power, whether it's a corporation
Yeah.
or whether it's the presidency,
Yeah.
whether it's school teachers with girls to boys,
Right.
power, if it's not handled correctly, it can be used for evil and bad things.
Power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Absolutely. And we have a tendency to put we can call them presidents, but we have a tendency to put our leaders in a position, like Charles Barkley said, I am not your role model.
Yeah.
So if you looked at Bill Clinton and said, well, but I liked his policies, then you look over here and that guy's morally not the leader we want. Man,
Yeah.
we need to quit looking to